I almost lost my life and the lives of my twins the week I was supposed to give birth. I should not be here. They should not be here either. And yet, by God's grace, He saved us. My name is Anna, and here is my testimony. We had prayed for these babies for years. When the doctor told us it was twins, my husband and I cried in the clinic hallway like children. We told everyone. We bought tiny clothes, painted the nursery, and counted the days. I carried them like a holy secret, speaking to them, singing to them, dreaming of faces I hadn't even seen. Everything was okay until the 9th month. That last month felt different from the rest. The swelling got worse. My hands and feet puffed up so much I could barely wear my wedding ring. I began getting headaches that cut through my temples, and sometimes my vision blurred for a few seconds. I told myself it was normal. Nerves, the weight, the nerves again. The nurses monitored me more often. The doctor said to rest and come back if things got worse. On the morning it happened, I was 39 weeks. I woke up with strong contractions and a strange, heavy pressure. My husband held my hand and told me to breathe. We called the hospital. They said come in just to be safe. I remember the drive there. Every red light felt like the world slowing down. My breaths were shallow and fast. I kept thinking, this is it. I'm meeting my babies today. At Triumph, they put the monitors on me. The beeps were supposed to be comforting, proof that 2 little hearts were inside me. But they started to sound wrong. One monitor flatlined for a second and then came back. The nurses exchanged looks. Then the doctor came in. He frowned and did more checks. He said the babies were in distress, and my blood pressure was dangerously high. He said the word I had been terrified of, critical. They moved us faster than I could understand. The room smelled of antiseptic and fear. A nurse pressed cold hands to my arm. My husband called our pastor, and my mother. I could hear distant footsteps and the muffled sound of someone praying in the corridor. The doctor stepped into the hall and told my husband, "We may need to operate immediately. There's a chance we won't be able to save both the babies or the mother." He said it with medical calm, but his eyes were raw. I remember my husband's face folding in half. He looked like someone had taken the air from his lungs. Lying there, I felt a heat rush through me and then nothing at all. My world narrowed to the sound of the machines and the lead-lined ceiling tiles. I thought of my mother, my husband, the tiny clothes in the nursery. I thought, Lord, please, not them. Not my babies. Not me. They wheeled me into the operating theater. I felt the cold of the table through the gown. The anesthesiologist's voice was steady. "We'll take care of you." But his eyes didn't lie. This was urgent. They began. Time stretched into a slow, terrible braid of beeps, words, and code. At one point a monitor alarm screamed and a nurse shouted code. The baby's heart rates plummeted. The surgical team moved like a swarm, their hands sure and fast, voices clipped with commands. Somewhere in the middle of that chaos, I heard what I will never forget. My husband's voice outside the sliding doors, raw and small, praying out loud. He called on God like a man who had been taught to be strong, but had finally given up the pretense. He told God, "You gave them to us. Don't take them now." I didn't know then how many people had joined him. Family on their knees in the corridor. My sisters crying and praying. Our pastor's voice like thunder through the whitewashed hall. They told me later that there was a severe complication. Something about the placenta and bleeding and the baby showing signs of extreme distress. The doctors did what they could. Machines whirred. Someone said they were preparing for neonatal resuscitation. I felt hands guide me, an oxygen mask pressed to my face, a needle burn in my back. I remember begging, not in words, but in a fetal animal way, for mercy. And then something changed. Not slowly, but like a switch flipping. My heart rate steadied. The baby's monitors normalized. The alarm stopped. For a beat, the room held its breath. Then the doctors nodded to each other with faces that shifted from tense to stunned. One of them stepped back and said under his breath, "I don't have an explanation." When they delivered them, my world exploded into sound. 2 small cries, weak at first, then stronger. Tiny fists waving like they'd been waiting to declare life. The nurses wrapped them up and put them by my face. I stared, shaking, and touched them, one at a time, fingers so small I could barely feel them. They were alive. I was alive. They wheeled us to recovery and then to the NICU. The doctors checked us and ran tests, shaking their heads. They told us there was no clear medical explanation for how the babies, and I had pulled through when everything had pointed the other way. We did everything we could, one doctor said, but there are moments like this we can't explain. Today, my twins are here with me. Two little lives that sleep in the next room and make small, ridiculous noises that fill the house with hope. Every time I change a diaper, every time they latch on, I remember the night the monitors alarmed and the corridor prayers shouted. I still get tears in my eyes when I think how close we were to losing it all. Friends, this is not a polished testimony. I am trembling as I speak. I will never pretend medicine didn't do its best. The doctors fought like warriors. But when they told my husband that choices might have to be made, when the machines had stopped answering, God came through in a way the doctors said they couldn't explain. If you are listening and you are in the middle of the storm, I want you to know, I have been there. I have felt the cold hands of fear and the suffocating weight of what if. I stood on that operating table and watched the impossible happen. We are living proof that miracles still happen. So I say thank you. Thank you to everyone who prayed, who fasted, who sat on the phone and cried and believed with us. But most of all, I say thank you to God. He held me when my own body could not hold itself. He held my babies when our hands could not. He turned a moment that was meant for sorrow into a testimony of mercy. If my story touched you, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe so more lives can be encouraged. And if you're in a place of hopelessness today, leave a comment. I'd love to pray for you. God is real. He is a God of testimonies. I am living proof.